Hi, everybody. We had a discussion in Guild among some friends about, how do you get into tanking in ESO? And one of the things that, I've thought for a long time is, tanking these Elsweyr dragons in both northern and southern Elsweyr is really good practice. Some folks will go into trials and pick up a bunch of trash mobs and try tanking them to see how that goes. But that's a little bit kind of next step up. And we're talking about kind of as you get into tanking for the first time, either you're converting an existing character to tank, or you're starting fresh with the tank. So once you have a fairly decent set of skills trained up, these dragons are great practice because they really force you to do a lot of the stuff that you'd have to do in trials, right? You have to have situational awareness of stuff that's on the ground. You have to have situational awareness about picking up dangerous ads, blocking heavy attacks, and stuff like that. So this is really a great training ground for tanking, and I would highly recommend it. I'm doing this on my Necromancer. We're doing, right now, running kind of selfish sets, Akaviri Dragon Guard. That reduces the cost of my ultimates. The ultimate for the Necromancer is kind of nice in this situation because it's that Bone Colossus that gives you, 30,000 extra health, which are kind of unkillable for a little bit. And just kind of to be nice to folks, I have the Resurrection one as well if a bunch of people get killed when the dragon passes by or whatever. So normally, you wouldn't necessarily slot these when you're running trials. I mean, there's all kinds of builds that will tell you which ones to run. But for this type of kind of open world stuff, those are pretty good. Running Engine Guardian, which is just a little bit of health recovery and some restoration of either stamina, magic, or health. Every 10 seconds, which is nice. And then I'm also running Plague Doctor, right, which is just a lot of health straight up. So it's a very selfish set as well. I mean, certainly when you're running organized groups, you'll want to run something that contributes to the group more than these. But, just for practicing out in the open, I would tend to err on the side of using more selfish sets and selfish skills, frankly, because, you don't know who's going to show up to help with these dragons. And, keeping yourself alive and managing your own sustain may be something that you have to do. So, along that vein, we're running Unnerving Boneyard to give major breach to the dragon, increases the DPS's damage. Bucket of Storms set off balance, even though that's not as important anymore, I guess. I think a lot of stuff has moved either to ice staffs or to different weapons on the back bar. Haven't really, changed my build to do that yet. Then we have, for these dragons, it's important to slot a Purge. It's not clear that, you'll have a healer who can purge you, but they have that soul tear effect that you can kind of see yourself start glowing, which is brutal. So, this is, an instance of a selfish skill, right? Nobody else is going to purge me. So instead of losing all that health, I can just purge it myself, and we'll try to demonstrate that when we actually fight the dragon. And then, Beckoning Armor that helps you pull in on the Necromancer, instead of having an active leash, it'll help you pull in anyone who attacks you, which is pretty nice, and then increases your resistances, which is super nice. Sword and Board in the front bar, then you have your standard bread and butter Pierce Armor and Inner Rage as your taunts. Heroic Slash also puts a minor maim on the mob, so that again helps the DPS. I'm sorry, it reduces the damage done to you. I'm running Ruinous Scythe again, so this is again a selfish selection. I'm not sure if anybody's going to be here healing me, so this lets me do damage to the dragon and get healed at the same time. And then Spirit Guardian again, right? It's just another ability that lets you heal yourself, right? So kind of a selfish setup, but pretty good for these dragons. In terms of champion points, this just got reworked. It's really going to just focus on these seem pretty standard, right? So Unassailable for AOE damage, Duelist Rebuff for single target damage, Enduring Resolve for damage over time, and Bulwark. So to increase your resistances. And then on the red, Boundless Vitality is 1400 straight up health. Ironclad is 1731 straight up armor. Rejuvenation increases all of your recoveries, which is super nice. And then Expert Evasion, which lets you do a roll dodge for free. Again, this is just kind of managing your stamina, right? Because if you on the front bar, you'll be blocking using stamina, using Sword and Board. On the back bar, you'll be blocking using Magicka. So that's kind of it, I think, in terms of the setup for the tank, and then we'll just fight this dragon, and that'll be it. Okay, so here we go on the dragon. Actually, I picked up a couple of ads on the way in, so I can dispatch these guys real quick. Or really not all that quick, because not being on a DPS can be a little challenging sometimes. So get those down, and then we'll get in and start fighting this dragon. We're going to buff up first, and then we're gonna bring up our Spirit Guardian and then taunt them right off the bat, and let's turn them away in case we do have DPS show up. For now, we're going to be largely responsible for healing ourselves. Block that AoE, and heavy attack to regain stamina. Big attack coming, got to block those. Again, I'm using side to keep myself alive. Unrelenting big attack, block it. AoE on the ground, we want to be moving out of that stuff. No reason to take damage we don't have to take. That's a purge right there, that's Soul Tear. We can drop some debuffs on the dragon, we have a little bit of luxury there. Block. Side to get our health back, reapply our taunt, and reapply our low slash, our heroic slash. We should technically be blocking those, and they're not as bad. It's the kind of those big heavy attacks that we want to block. But if you have the opportunity to block those, it's always a good idea. In this case, keep your healing up. That Spirit Guardian should be up. Big block. We drop our debuffs, renew our armor. Get out of the stuff on the ground. And let's get out of the way because he's going to do a big AoE. Here's a synergy we could probably take. See, it's good practice there. So there's a couple of small adds we can pick back up using our ranged taunt, and then we'll taunt the dragon again. We try to point it away from folks. And it's a little bit hard because people are a little bit all over the place. That green semicircle in the center of the screen tells me that I still have aggro. Block the heavy attack, renew our armor, block this. Dude needs to get out of the way. A lot of people usually will move during that attack. It's just a bad idea. Okay, we need to purge that. Necrotic potency to restore. And put our AoEs down again. And we need to block through this. Renew our taunt. I always want to make sure that you're in control of the fight. Take the synergies when you can get them. We had an orb come by there. Bring our Guardian back up. Block the heavy. Put our debuffs back up and our armor back up. So, those sort of medium strength hits aren't awful. Get out of stuff on the ground. We're going to try to move as little as possible, right? Because you're compromising the DPS every time you move. But you also don't just want to kind of stand and stuff on the ground for no good reason. There may be adds that pop here, so you would want to be ready with your ranged taunt. Don't see anything coming up just yet. You don't get out of stuff on the ground. There they are. There's a bunch of little ones, right? So pull our armor back up. That should leash some of them in. And whichever ones you can find, just start leashing them in. Or taunting them. And then when they hit you, they will get automatically leashed in. You can also use your meter. And he is back down, so we are going to prioritize getting our taunt back on him. Now, these dragons can be untauntable briefly after they land. I don't think there's another tank here. So you just kind of got to keep the taunts, keep trying to reacquire the taunt on him. There he is. Okay, now we got him back. Drop our debuffs. Purge that. Reestablish our taunt. Just to show what it does, there's our ultimate. So that's always nice, brings it up to 85,000 health, which is super nice. And we lost taunt, somebody was taunted off of us on the other side, which can happen when you do this, but it's still great practice. So that was it. So, again, to kind of recap, a lot of interesting stuff that really happens in trials, right? You have to pick up some adds, we have to block heavy attacks, we have to block channeled attacks, you have to move out of stuff on the ground. So just, a lot of activities. I think, a monster that hits pretty hard, so it actually tests your abilities as a tank. So, if you're just kind of learning how to tank, if you have access to Elsweyr or Southern Elsweyr, this is a great place to kind of test stuff out. So I hope you enjoyed it.